Okay, everyone, welcome back. We are here with HVT on Down the Line. We got a special Red Sox Yankees series recap slash sort of preview for the series that's coming up. So we're going to talk Yankees, Red Sox. HVT, thank you for coming on with us. What are your immediate thoughts?
Sure.
If you had to just give me like one sentence, what was your thoughts based on this series where the Yankees took like 1.5 games, I guess if you want to call it that. Technically took 2 games out of the 3, but really it was like 1.5. So what are you thinking?
I don't even know, man. That was a weird series.
It was
That was
weird.
I mean, it was weird too because obviously the first game was canceled, the COVID outbreak, and
Yeah, it
then
started weird.
I was like, my head was like, what's going on with the Yankees? And then you heard it was Judge, obviously, so it was All-Star game. So then my head went to what's going to happen in baseball. Because like Judge was with everybody, walked Hank Aaron's widow out to the field.
Oh my,
Like,
I didn't even think of that part of that.
yeah, like the whole thing was just insane. So then I was like, oh my gosh, is this season going to go away again? And then it ended up being fine. And apparently there's like no other positives. It's just the Yankees are diseased because Aaron Judge curses the Yankees and that's what he does. And
I mean, I agree to disagree there, but
but I don't know. It's wild, man. It was a weird series. It feels like there was like a gap between that game 1 and game 2. I guess there was because of the rain delay.
yeah.
But I feel like there was almost a cancellation between those 2 games too. Like it felt like a long time between those games where the Red Sox won was it like 4-0.
I think there kind of was because at least from my perspective, I kind of
Yeah.
stopped watching like 4 or 5 innings into the first game, and then the second game got delayed. So it was just like, and then you're right after the cancellation Thursday. I was like, how crazy was it? Like this Yankee team continues to, like, no matter how low I drop my expectations, they still disappoint me. I was like, you know what? I don't think we're gonna win this series. I just don't see it. And then they don't even play the first game, and we have 4 contributors out due to COVID, including our best player.
I mean, it's wild too because you and me, Stanzo, have talked about it because I watch a lot of AAA ball too because the Red Sox have a lot of prospects I really like and I want to see it. So like on off days they show Nesson games, and on Nesson they show the Woo Sox. And one of them was, or 2 of them were against the Rail Riders, and I was texting you about it, and I was talking about how the team is just wildly opposite of what the major league club is. Like it's lefty hitters, it's switch hitters, it's speed, it's guys who battle counts every at bat. Like it is. What did we call it? I think we called it the anti.
I said they're the anti-Yankees, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's so true.
And
I think yeah.
Go on.
No, I think it gets lost too. Like a lot of times you see people talk about the problems with the Yankees, and there are problems roster construction wise. A lot of people harp on the strikeouts, and yeah, that is it sometimes. I think honestly their number one problem a lot is that they're so station to station. Like it's not just that they're home run dependent, it's that none of these guys can really run. Like you can make a case Aaron Judge is like the best base runner on this team, and the guy's 6'7". Like that's absolutely nuts. Like unless you include like a Gardner or a Wade who doesn't ever really get on base. Like it was so refreshing last night because I was at the game, seeing like Greg Allen taking extra bases, seeing like they hit and run a little bit. Like it's just like it was just nice to see. I haven't seen them play that way in years.
Yeah, no, it's wild. I mean, I don't know if maybe it reflects a change in theory for the Yankees. I don't know that their AAA team is just built so different. I don't, or maybe it's just that they're stashing those kind of guys in case they need them there. I don't know, but it's wild, man. Like they've been fun to watch. Like every time they've given the Woo Sox absolute hell and just battled counts and all this stuff. And I think you guys saw part of that over the last 2 games of the series.
Yeah.
I mean, the last 1 game of the series because the first one wasn't a game.
Speaking of prospects, I mean, he actually hit his first home run tonight, but what were your thoughts on Duran coming in?
I've been super high on Duran for a while, but I mean, not set. Like, I mean, I was high on him just for his speed when he was a 7th rounder back in the day, but I think it was 2018 actually that we drafted him. And I mean, he's made all these swing adjustments, and everybody's heard about it, the crazy power he's come up with. And I mean, I didn't know if that would really translate to the big leagues, but obviously it is, taking an away pitch over the wall like that, like he did today. But the dude,
that's all bicep. That's all bicep.
Yeah, he's a weapon. Absolute weapon. And like, I mean, my first thought is going that way with a home run is the monster too. Like,
Yeah.
he hit that ball half as hard and put it off the monster if we're at Fenway tonight.
I'm shocked that they put him in the 2-hole tonight. I mean, I saw your kind of breakdown of it, and like I like the idea of the lineup protection. But I mean, they must trust him a lot. I mean, that the Red Sox lineup is a powerhouse. To put him in the 2-hole is not, is not saying nothing. I mean, that's a really big commitment to him. So I mean, I didn't even think that they would be bringing him up this year. That's probably more me just not really paying attention to the farm system the way you do. But like I wasn't expecting to have a prospect that was going to contribute right away like this. I mean, he's been.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been only a week, but like he's been good. He's been good.
No, the most impressive part about him has been how he's worked at bats. And I mean, they're gonna change the way they pitch to him. Everybody happens. You're already seeing a little of it where they're attacking him with high fastballs and he'll chase them. But that's just how every rookie in baseball goes. Like, you get that high fastball treatment and they look so good, and you have to learn how to lay off them. Like, Devers went through that. Gleyber Torres went through that. Everyone goes through that.
Yeah.
So he's dealing with a little bit of that right now, but at the same time, he's battling at bats, and that's been the most impressive part. Not even the hit off Cole on that first pitch or the home run tonight. It's just been how ready and how confident he looks in his ABs has been awesome.
No, he does look comfortable up there for sure. And I think if there's a spot you're going to put him in, I mean, put him in front of your 3, 4, 5 of Bogarts, JD, and Devers. I mean, you really can't ask for any better protection than that. I think that's one thing. That's another thing the Red Sox do so well is keeping those 3 guys in the 3, 4, 5 slot. I know I saw tonight it looked like JD and Devers flip-flop, but that's one thing I wish the Yankees would do more. I feel like just knowing where you're at in a lineup, knowing who's hitting before you, after you, it's such an underrated aspect. It's just one of those things that analytics kind of downplays, and I like when teams do that, and I wish the Yankees would do that.
This is the biggest lineup shakeup tonight we've seen all season.
Mm-hmm.
I think they actually said there's something. JD's in the 5 spot, I think, tonight. And I think they said it was the first time he's ever not been 2, 3, 4 while he's been with the Red Sox.
And that's the thing that Nick, I totally agree. It's like a comfort level. Like you find your spot in the batting order, and it's like you kind of start to think like what that type of hitter is supposed to be. Like when you're like, it's kind of changed now that like the 2 hitter is kind of the best hitter. But like it used to be like if you're the 3 hitter, like I just gotta hit the ball in the gaps. I gotta hit for power. I gotta do everything. If you're the 2 hitter, like I gotta work the count. Leadoff hitter, you have a different mindset in each spot in the lineup, and I feel like Yankees just do the complete opposite of that sometimes, or they just kind of just shuffle it around so much and just being like, let's see if this guy can do this. We'll do this for 2 games and see if it works.
Feels like they're almost too reactionary with it.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, this didn't go well this game, so we're gonna do it differently tomorrow. And like not like obviously now they're kind of in reactionary mode because they have to be because the hole they've dug themselves, but like earlier in the season too, where it was like you can't react to opening week like, oh, this guy isn't our 2 hitter. We're putting him 7. We're putting him here. We're putting him here. Like you said, it is about confidence. It's about knowing that and knowing where you're penciled in.
I feel like that happened to Clint Frazier too. Like he was maybe going to be like kind of like this 5, 6, 7 area, and then like immediately, like you said, after the first week, he was like 9, 9, 9. Like you was never getting past that, and like he probably started thinking to himself as, all right, I'm probably no better than a 9 hitter. Like that it gets in your head at some point. It really does.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I don't know. It was obviously a wild series too, and it's not even over yet.
Because that is true.
Technically.
He texted me that today. He's like, series isn't over. I was like,
I was at work and I was like, oh shit, I just realized it's not over.
What is it? 1.5 out of 3. I refuse to say it was 2 games because I mean, I'm torn on my own take. I'm torn on my own take because if 7-inning games count, shouldn't like a 6-inning game count too? Like but I feel like it doesn't, like, because I hate the 7-inning games, but like if we're gonna count them, we should count this one too.
Oh yeah. No,
listen,
I mean, it counts. Obviously, it's just not a baseball game.
Listen, here's my stance on it because I saw, and I was going back, especially last night. I was having some fun on Twitter because it was nice to have fun after an 0-7 start against you guys. So I was going back and forth because I saw it was just an excuse train all across Red Sox Twitter between the rain, the umps, the porch jobs, and I get some very valid ones. I told you I sat at Yankee Stadium in May for a 3-hour rain delay without one drop of rain. So like I've been there where they've fucked up rain delays before.
I haven't been that hot about anything sports related in a very, very long time.
And I get it, and it sucks,
that
but
was
I had 2 reasons. I'm not apologizing for Saturday. One being COVID. Like we had no Judge, no Gio. We needed porch chops from Gary and Glaber and a little bit of rain to get to Sawamura. Like I'll take that.
Not quite split.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
he's been filthy against you guys too.
No, he's good. Your guys' bullpen is good, except for Brandon Workman deciding just not to throw strikes last night, which is our AAA lineup, which was bold.
Just throw it over. I mean, Workman at the same time. I don't care what Workman does. Like Workman's pretty much like a wild card. Like
he's not
there.
One of your high
like I don't consider him a key piece of our pen or anything. Like,
no, absolutely.
But,
But I mean, there's that, and then obviously I get the Vasquez swinging strike 3, definitely very borderline bailout. But I'm sorry, after that Odor strike 3 call a couple of weeks back at the stadium to send it to extra innings,
now we got 3.
I'll take one. I'll take it.
Yeah.
So it's fine, but and then even last night, it's crazy. Here's where I'm at as a Yankee fan. I wasn't comfortable until Lamar hit the home run. Literally, I'm sweating out the 8th inning with friggin' Zach Britton and Licky walking people. I'm like, I've literally seen them blow 5 and 6.
That was my favorite part. Like, I was like, at the end, I was like, all right, I know we're going to lose this game. And I was like, I'm just enjoying the fact that Yankees fans are even sweating about this right now. Like, they're up 7 and they're sweating.
Bro, it made me panic more that you guys pinch it for Bogarts because, like, if we blow a game that they're actively punting, I'll lose it.
That's crazy mindset. That's crazy mindset.
I don't know.
That's a torture mindset.
Was there, and this is for both of you, was there a part in your mind that thought maybe Chapman blows this? Was there, because he threw that first pitch, not even close to the zone.
Okay, no.
Like he's gonna give he's gonna walk 4 guys, we're gonna have to pull him, and then we're gonna be fucked because we're not.
No, with the 8-run lead, no. I thought you meant at any point. No, I fully thought that was how it was gonna end because going into the bottom of the 7th, 4 Odor hits the home run, it's still only 3-0, and it's like we need 2 innings from you knew it was gonna be Britton and Chapman essentially. Britton, who has barely pitched this year, and Chapman, who has been horrible. But no, luckily we get the insurance 2-run home run to bring it up to 8, which I guess I felt comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just at that point. I knew. I mean, pretty much after the Devers check swing, I was like, all right, this just ain't our night. And a lot of it, like most of the night, was like pretty hard hit balls and just right at people and this stuff, and it's just annoying. If you have those games in baseball where you're like, all right, there's something mystical going on. This just isn't our night. It felt like that game pretty early. It was like, all right, it's just not going to happen tonight.
Mm-hmm. Baseball is one of those sports where you can kind of like feel a loss before it actually happens. I feel like in other sports, like and even like the NBA and the NFL, like you can feel a comeback, like potentially having. Baseball, kind of like I just sense it's not our night tonight. I feel like it was kind of like just one of those series for the Red Sox where it just like things weren't going your way with like the rain and all those other things, the short porch, like all those things. It's just like it wasn't lining up for you perfectly, which we as Yankee fans again we'll take. We have had our fair share of just shitty series of. So I'll take any
that freaking ground, but the infield hit game the Red Sox had in Fenway.
Yeah, I mean, like, come on,
that one was incredible. There's just so many infield hits. I forget how many, but that was wild.
But that's like what I mean, like shit like that. It's just like I'll take our 1.5 wins where we can get it.
That's why you play 162 though, and that's why you play 19 against division. Like imagine it was football and you played twice a year, and like that was how one of the games went. Like I would lose my shit.
Yeah, I feel like that's why I never fully got into football. Like I can't like fully commit to knowing like one game can happen in one bad quarter and like my team's eliminated.
Yeah.
Like being such a baseball nerd, like one game elimination just doesn't compute with my brain. I can't invest myself fully into a team and be like, wow, it could end in one day.
It's too final.
Yeah.
I agree. How do you feel about these upcoming series? I think obviously you're playing well tonight. But I mean, how do you feel kind of going up until the Yankee series and like kind of going into that one, like, how do you feel as like a Red Sox fan? Do you feel like the Rays are creeping up on you, or do you feel pretty secure right now? Like, what are your thoughts?
I've been like bizarrely comfortable with the Rays creeping up on us all year.
Yeah.
I kind of am confident we can beat them head to head.
Yeah.
So like I'm looking honestly more than where the Rays are at. I'm looking more at what the Blue Jays and the Yankees are doing. Because I think I'm weirdly confident we can beat the Rays.
So who's like your number one fear? You like who do you fear in the division? If I guess anyone at this point, like who is like,
I guess it's
I'm worried about this team.
I guess it's still the Rays for the division. But like I mean it's like I don't know, we haven't played them that much, and it seems like we play them pretty well every time. So I don't concern myself with them creeping up. Like it looks like right now they're losing like 6-0 to the Orioles. Too, which was cool. So it looks like after the whole Boston media meltdown from yesterday when they were half game back, we're just gonna go right back to a game and a half up on them. So that's fun. But yeah, no, I'm not. I also like coming into this year, like I thought we'd be good, but I didn't think we'd be this good. So like it's hard for me to actually like worry about anything, to be honest. Like it's such like a house money season that like I feel like I don't have to be like, oh man, the Rays are creeping up. Like anything's acceptable at this point.
I miss that feeling so much, bro.
Yeah.
That was 2017. Like it was almost at the point where it was like we lost that ALCS, and I was just kind of like, all right, we'll be back. And then here we are 4 years later. We haven't even been back to a game 7. So
like
sucks,
I mean,
but I miss that feeling.
Coming into this season, my main goal, like my main thing I wanted was to be in first or second place on draft night. We picked 4th overall.
Yeah.
And that happened. And we were in first, and we got Marcelo, who's supposed to be the number 1 pick. And my season's pretty much good now. Like whatever happens. Like get Duran experience, get other guys experience. The team's super fun to watch, but like just the direction the team is heading, I'm like stoked on.
So in terms of the deadline approaching, like, do you want them to be buyers and like really go for it this year? Or are you just kind of be like, let's watch this team just be fun, you know? Like, are you like being like, nah, like let's build, let's keep going, you know?
Yeah, I'm torn because like I want them, and I think they will go over the tax because pretty much right now they're on it. Like they're at the 220, whatever it is. They're right there on it, like right under it. So I think they're gonna go over it. I've been looking at Chris Bryant a lot, and Chaim Bloom tried to trade for him last year apparently, which is wild. Like they were actually pretty close to talking about it, to getting it done. So I'm looking at him. He seems to really like the Red Sox, and the Red Sox like him. And we know that's a target that's been high for Chaim.
So where would you put him? Where would you want him?
First base mostly.
Right. Okay.
Put Bobby Dahlbeck in the package. Yeah.
You wouldn't do Rizzo. Who would you prefer, Rizzo or Bryant?
Bryant. I've been arguing with a bunch of Red Sox fans about this because they've all been saying Rizzo. Rizzo's like the buzzword right now. What everybody's been saying, like we need Rizzo. But like my thing is, I don't want to trade or do anything that'll affect us negatively long term. Like I don't want to sell any prospects that aren't on the 40-man are basically out of it. Any prospects that aren't gonna have to be Rule 5 protected, I don't want to trade. Like all that, like keep the farm intact because that's still priority number 1 for me. Like build the farm up to be sustainable going into the future, and don't like no like crazy prospects for Max Scherzer kind of stuff. Any of this nonsense. Like no huge moves basically. Like trade in a package of like Bobby Dahlbeck and like Hudson Potts and a couple other guys who are already on the 40, and we're gonna have to protect until they're ready. I'm down with, but any of the Duran, who's not really like he's up now, but any like when he wasn't, any of the Duran, the Casas, the Jeter Downs, the Gilberto Jimenez, any of the main top 30 basically, I wouldn't want to trade.
Yeah. So if you can get a rental for easy, you know, for a decent price, you'll take it. But you're not willing to mortgage the future for this year.
And it would, even further than that too, it would have to be a rental we have interest in extending.
Right. Okay.
Too. Like that's why I'm more Bryant than Rizzo, because Rizzo, like I just don't see the interest extending him. We have Casas in the wings coming up soon. He's going to be a good first baseman. Like I just don't see it. but Bryant plays all over, and his stroke is pretty much built for Fenway, which is why Bloom has been so hot on him. Because pretty much everyone Bloom has brought in, if you look at their spray charts, it's nuts. Just everything is towards the monster. Like every person he brings in is just looking to kill the green monster. And that's basically Chris Bryant, the way his swing is.
Yeah, that
So
huge.
I'm looking at that, and if we were able to extend him, then yeah. But like even that, like if it was a guarantee Chris Bryant was only a rental, I'd probably be out on it. Like anything that's not benefiting the future, I don't want to do really. Even like trading prospects for someone with years of control still, if they were bigger prospects, then sure. Then if Bloom thinks it's beneficial for the future of the team and they're under control, then I'm down with it.
So you're all in on him, Bloom, we trust.
Yeah, too much, man. I've really never felt like this comfy with a GM before. It's weird. But like so far the only thing I've disagreed with him on in his tenure has been actually the Jarren Duran call up. Because
really?
My girlfriend's here now.
I'm not. I'm disposing of this beetle.
She has a beetle too.
Oh my God, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. But what was I saying?
Jarren Duran.
Yeah. I didn't like the Duran call because it moved Arroyo to first, and Arroyo's not a first baseman, and he immediately got hurt. And I hated
Yeah, he
that.
tried to do that stretch. Yeah, the famous first baseman stretch. He didn't stand a chance. He
Dude,
didn't stand a chance with those.
That was the only thing that I've been like, what are we doing here? Because like obviously Duran's made an impact too, and he's been great. But at the same time, it was like, I don't know, why do it if we have Kike who's playing Gold Glove caliber center field right now? We have Arroyo who's mashing at second, and first base has kind of been a hole. But like I just didn't get it. Like when I first saw it, I was like, oh crap, who's injured? Like when I saw they were calling him up, I was shocked. Like I was like, one of the outfielders just hurt. Because you can't take the ABs away from Arroyo. And they said earlier in the season they weren't going to call up Duran until he was going to be pretty much an everyday player. So it just didn't make any sense to me. And I guess they were more confident than I was that Arroyo could play first. I thought Arroyo could play first. I just didn't think he would injure himself in the first 3 innings of it.
Well, I think saying that it was to build his value up. I heard them saying that. And then again, it was the ESPN broadcast, so who the hell knows if they knew what they were talking about. But in the off chance that they were gonna move him for for someone at the deadline, they were saying, oh, if you put him at first base, it might increase his.
No, that's not.
Yeah, but that was also Matt Vasgersian and A-Rod talking about that. So I'm like, really? I guess they'll do that. I don't know. That makes sense logically.
Excursion is so bad, dude. That dude is just so bad. Like some of the stuff by the end of that broadcast, like by the second inning of that broadcast, they were a Yankees podcast, like talking about deadline acquisitions and all. It's so bad, dude.
He's got a great voice, terrible takes.
Horrible.
I love hearing him talk. I don't like listening to him, if that makes sense.
The stuff he says is like even gotten me off the voice train of it. Like he's just so bad. Like, I mean, what was it? What's his name? Gittins, the first baseman prospect you guys have.
Mm-hmm.
He caught that like foul ball pop up, and I tweeted at the time. I was like, that was the most routine foul pop up I've ever seen in my life. And Matt Vasgersian was like, I swear, I thought he was gonna drop a Santa Maria on it. Like he was losing his shit. Like he was like, oh, what a play, Chris Gittins. And I was like, am I watching the same game right now? And I feel like I have
compared him to Michael Strahan because they're both big guys and we're number 92 for a New York team. So there's that, which is, I guess, slightly better than him comparing Mike Ford to Babe Ruth last year on Sunday night.
It's so funny because it's flipped for me because I used to like not like A-Rod and I was okay with Vasgersian, and now I'm like don't like A-Rod, but Vasgersian's just way cringier for me. Like I just can't stand the stuff that guy says.
A-Rod knows baseball. I think he's the perfect studio guy, like when he's on Fox with Poppy and Big Hurt, because it's like short spurts of him and his knowledge. Once you put him in there for like 3-4 hours, he's almost like, oh fuck, like I gotta talk, and it's just half the time makes no sense.
A-Rod is not a conversation guy, Nick. You're exactly right. You gotta like be like, okay, A-Rod, you're gonna talk about this. You have 2 minutes. That's it. Do not stray from the script, A-Rod.
Yeah. Like that video of I forget when it came out. I think it was 2018 when it came out. It was the video of
Him and Poppy, right?
A-Rod and Poppy talking hitting and talking Yankees Red Sox rivalry.
Mhm.
That was one of like the best videos I've ever seen. Like it was
Mhm.
awesome. Like as far as baseball content goes, like talking about how they would have dinner and Tiffany would make like A-Rod and Derek Jeter dinner and stuff, and they would all talk about how crazy the rivalry was.
Mhm.
Like that was absolute gold. Like you need to give him a direction. Like, and I think it would call me crazy, but I think that direction should be like the baseball game happening in front of them.
You would think.
they
would
can
think.
call that game. Like it sounds simple, but like call the game. Call the game happening. Talk about the at-bats. Like the last time they just don't talk about what's happening pitch to pitch. And I feel like it's one of the reasons everyone thinks baseball is boring.
Yeah.
They don't talk like on national, everybody's watching it, Sunday Night Baseball. They don't break down like, oh, he might throw this here. He might go this here. This is the game within the game. Not even the game within the game, just the game. They don't even talk about.
Well, they treat it like a radio show. Yeah, like they're on WFAN
yeah,
or something.
exactly.
I would love to hear. I agree. I would love every broadcast to have two analysts and the play-by-play guy that just like stays out of the way. Like you said with Vescursion, he does it a lot. Michael K. I like Michael K. But I think he's kind of bad at this too. Like interjecting their own opinions. Like no offense, like just call the game and what's happening. I want to hear the players tell me like what their perspective is. Like every once in a while, Cohen and O'Neill will go back and forth with each other, which I like. Like you know, the Mets broadcast pretty good at that with Darling and Keith. Like let the players give their perspective on what's happening. I don't need to hear some random ass guy's opinion on it.
Well, it's like with Romo, you know what I mean? Like when people think what you want about Tony Romo and like what he actually like sounds like. He's a little annoying when he goes for like 2 minutes, but like when he like calls a play before it happens and then it happens, that's awesome. Cool. You know what I mean? Like you understand so much more about like the game that you're watching when you actually let these people talk about baseball, as opposed to just being like, oh, let's hear what they have to say about Fergie for like 2 minutes. Like, shut up.
Shut up.
I made myself mad for a minute.
It's true. And I mean, it's honestly, to me, it's one of the reasons that a lot of kids don't like baseball and they can't get into baseball. It's like a big broadcaster problem, especially radio, which I mean, I guess doesn't matter because kids don't listen to the radio anyways. But like when I'm at work, dude, and I have to listen to a Sox game on the radio, like that Red Sox radio booth is just so bad. And it's like all old heads, like barely calling the game. And they're just, it's awful. It's awful. And like you listen to some of the other teams, like lower market teams, booths for the TV, and they have like a 75-year-old dude doing it who's just as stale as can be, just saying the same lines he's been saying for 60 years. And it's like, it's unbearable. It's like, why, if you actually dive in and you're like, build the suspense for what's happening every at-bat, like baseball becomes so much more exciting because people don't know what they're looking for at-bat to at-bat.
There's so much within like every single pitch. Like if you just start thinking about like pitch sequencing, which is why I'm actually glad. I think John Boy actually convinced them to do it.
John Boy did,
on the ESPN podcast. Like if you actually like go sequence like pitch to pitch to pitch, like there is so much going on, which is like it's crazy. It's crazy. Like just think about it for 2 minutes and like talk about it for a minute, which would be awesome. But I guess that's too much to ask from A-Rod.
It's wild. It's wild. And like and A-Rod's like a dude who loves baseball. It's like, why aren't you talking about the baseball that's happening?
Literally
That's the other thing too. Like I complain a lot about like Manfred and like the direction like some of these rules are going in, but at the same time, like these guys just shit on baseball. So it's like, how does that make people feel when you're turning into a broadcast and you just hear guys who used to play or broadcast and they're just shitting on baseball? Like I love John Sterling, but it's just always like he's just always ripping on analytics and how batting average doesn't matter. And it's like every other sport, I feel like the broadcasters, the players, they evolve as the game evolves. Like you don't hear like NBA broadcasts don't always rip on like, oh, if this were the 90s, we could still handshake, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, like they're calling the game as they see it. Like, I feel like baseball, it's always like, this isn't 1998 anymore. And it's like, honestly, like good. Like we have so much young talent. Like it's exciting. Like we have a shit commissioner, but other than that, like the game is in such good hands and 95% of the broadcasts you listen to, you would have to believe the opposite.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. AVG, I did want to ask you, because I asked you this in our very first Zoom, then that unfortunately got cut off by Zoom. But I was asking you about what you expected from what's up?
We have a thing at the top of the screen that says remaining meeting time.
8 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. This would be my last question because I'm very curious as to, it's similar to the deadline question, but I asked you what you expected from Chris Sale at the beginning of the season, and you pretty much said like not too much. Like if he comes back, cool. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Now that you kind of are like you said, like you wanted to be in first and second place at the draft, you're there. Chris Sale is kind of ahead of schedule. They said he's like looks really good. Like what are you thinking about Chris Sale now? Because it is a whole different race, whole MLB wise. If Chris Sale is healthy and pitching for the Red Sox, it is a different game if he's there. What are you thinking with him?
He's gonna be Chris Sale. I really think that. And I mean, I think even in the worst of the worst, with his UCL hanging on by a hair in 2019, if you look at people talk about that year, man, and they talk about how he was bad. If you go look at that year, like go to Fangraphs and look at that year, it's ridiculous. Like it was a great year. His ERA was inflated. He got pretty unlucky and he wasn't himself, but it was still an unbelievable season. I think if he's part of that, he's going to be a major contributor. And just having a dude like that in your dugout and taking the bump every fifth day, it's just going to be a huge deal. Like
he was also throwing like 90 in that season. Like if he can get his fastball back up, and that's why I was so like anti-Sale. I'm like, he's never going to be the same pitcher again. But like now that I kind of see him like coming back, I thought that's like who he was because he was just like overworked at some point. But it kind of seems like he's getting back to his old self, getting up. Maybe if he's like 93, 94 consistently, he'll be a good, like you said, he'll be Chris Sale again, which is exciting to watch, annoying Yankees fan, but it's good for baseball.
Yeah, he doesn't need 100. He doesn't need that 99 stuff that he throws. Like it's just he's gonna learn how to do a little pitching for sure, which is never really a concern of mine because he has the pitching already. Like the break he gets is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
like he was never necessarily a full like power pitcher, so there's not really that like transition. I don't think as much to like go to I try to think of something like a CC Sabathia where you like really have to rebuild yourself or somebody like that. Like I don't think that's really in the cards. But like the other thing that people seem to forget about him is that he's 32 years old.
Yeah, really
like,
not old.
For Sale, like people act like he's like 36, 35. And he is just not old. Like
I think he's gonna have to lean on he's gonna have to lean on his changeup a little bit more than I think he did in the past. But I mean, he has a good changeup, so it really doesn't matter. Like he'll be able to adjust. It's just him getting, it's going to be feel pitches now. The changeup and the slider kind of feel, especially his with so much movement. So once he gets like comfortable again and back to his old self, it's going to be scary. So I was curious to see what you thought about that because now that I see how much progressed, like he's going to be good.
Yeah, more than anything, I'm excited. I mean, just watching it and like I don't even think too much about like, oh, what's it going to impact for the season, all this stuff. Just seeing that dude pitch, and I think his next rehab start is in AA. So I think that one will actually have like a broadcast of some sort you can watch. I'm not sure though, but the first one was Florida Gulf Coast League, so they had nothing, like absolutely nothing to watch except for like reporters that were up in the stands with iPhones. Yeah. But it's crazy, man. It's so cool seeing him back and like doing stuff. And just I remembered like the video or the photo, I think it was during the winter, of him throwing like in the snow at Fenway. Like just throwing balls is crazy. Like that dude is just nuts. Like he's just a crazy person.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see him back too. He's one of the guys that gives the rivalry some juice. I mean, even I don't think no disrespect to your guys' rotation. None of those guys when I see like as good as Evaldi is, as much as he has our number, I don't get up for the Yankees facing Evaldi the same way I did for when they faced Sale. Like it's just a different animal. You're talking about a guy who's been one of the top 5 starting pitchers in the league for a good part of the last decade. So I mean, obviously a scary concept that he's coming back at the same time. Good to see that he is going to be healthy again. Hopefully we get back Severino and he can give us some sort of similar boost as well. So, I mean, we'll see, but it's crazy. We were talking the other day, me and HVT, we were saying like, it feels like forever ago that we saw these guys pitch. Cause I feel like COVID just added like 5 years of a gap. Like the fact that I haven't seen both
Yeah.
these guys pitch since late 2019, like that might as well have been 5 years ago, not 2 years ago.
Yeah. I feel like I haven't seen Chris Sale pitch in a decade. It feels
Forever.
like.
Yeah, and that's I mean I see some freaking Red Sox fans, like obviously the casual ones and stuff, but like they'll say on like a thread when the Red Sox tweet something about or Instagram about something, and he'll be like, "Chris Sale's still on this team? We still have," it's like, yeah, dude, yeah, definitely still on this team, and it's wild. I mean, one of my favorite things about this season too, just for the Sox so far, has been that all of the contracts that people were saying were bad all of last year, like just aren't bad. Like the Red Sox literally don't have a bad contract right now. Like
They're in a
people
good
were saying,
spot.
yeah, they were saying Evaldi is a bad contract. It's not true. He's an all-star. Sale is 32 years old and his contract is ridiculously team friendly. Like basically he has like, I didn't even know this when they first did it, but I was looking on Spotrac or Spot Track, whatever it is.
The Red Sox contracts situation not as bad as people are making it out to be.
No. I mean, people were freaking out even about JD's contract, which is nuts. But Chris,
he was 5'110", right?
Yes.
I think what it wound up being.
I'm gonna check. Is my video still on?
Yeah, you're good.
I don't know how it works if I leave the browser on this. I'm not super tech savvy.
I'm only tech savvy and Zoom shutting off. That's the only thing I know about.
Yes. Kill it. I also I noticed that I was in my girlfriend's Zoom account on her computer. So I was very worried that my name on this just said Rachel Martin for that whole first thing. But it didn't.
I think you're good. I think it said Henry Von Thaden.
Yeah. I was like, shit. That just Rachel Martin the whole time. But 2021 payroll, JD is 19 milli this year.
That's that's not bad. I mean, Nick, what are we paying Chapman? 16 and a half, 17?
Dude, Chapman and Britton are the and people get mad. Stanton's only a 22 mil hit, so like if he stays healthy, that's really not that bad. Paying over 30 million for two relievers is bad, even if they're elite, and they've both been pretty terrible. Except Chapman had obviously 2 good months, but like that's horrible.
Yeah, I had a pretty unpopular take at the time where I thought the Yankees were definitely not going to pick up Britton's option. It just felt
I didn't think so either.
I didn't know. I kept saying because I kind of wanted him on the Sox. I was like, I don't think they're going to pick up Britton, and I like him a lot. So I wasn't sure, but I said that a couple times, and people were like, "You kidding me, dude? No, there's no way they're not picking up that option." But that was just weird. Like, I mean, if they were actually that convinced to stay under the tax, why are you picking up a $13 million option on a relief pitcher if you're gonna stay under the tax?
Mm-hmm.
Relief pitchers are so weird to me because I feel like I value them so much, and then when I see them sign for anything above like $10 million, I'm like, that's not worth it. So like I'm always torn between like a relief being like, you just got to get your guy. Like I don't consider the Liam Hendricks contract terrible, you know, like, and he's I think paid more than Chapman right now. I think he's got like the 18 range. Like as of right now, I don't consider that bad, but I'm sure next year when he's probably digresses in some way, I'm going to be like, this is bad, you know? So like, I get so torn year to year with those reliever contracts. I never know how to like put together an opinion for them.
Yeah, no, it's weird. And especially because it seems like so much of the time, it's like when you take a reliever out of his element, they just completely fall apart.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like in a trade or if you sign him to a different place, it's such a like volatile market for success. I feel like you see guys like Emilio Pagan, they traded him to the Padres from the Rays, and he was like one of the best closers in baseball. And I think 19. And they traded him to the Rays or to the Padres, and he was just terrible that first year. It's just so weird.
Or like Trianon going from the A's to the Dodgers being terrible. One of the best relief pitchers in baseball history. That one year he had like a .47. The next year he's terrible. He goes to the Dodgers. He's back to being good again. And it's and he just missed his time to get paid right in the middle of it. You know,
I mean, you look at like even like Dave Dombrowski with the Red Sox, and some of the bet trades that were actually bad for him were Tyler Thornburg and what's his name, like Carson Smith or something, I think. who were two at the time, like elite all-star relievers, and they were just terrible here. Like
Yeah.
just awful. And it's just so weird. Like sometimes with these relievers, you like pick them up and you put them in a different city and they're just awful. And it makes no sense at all.
I mean, how about our boy Ottavino? We signed him. He was great, and then he just got broken by the Yankees refusing to use him, in any situation other than against righties. They just refused to trust him, and I think it just messed with his confidence completely.
Yeah, I think he's a very like heady guy too. Like obviously getting to know him more, like watching every game of his now and like seeing the post games and everything, it seems like he's just, I mean, he's a weird dude. Like he is weird.
I think most relievers are to a degree. I think it's probably like, because think about it, if you're a lot of baseball players are mental in so many ways. I know obviously starting pitchers have their quirks and stuff, but like if you're starting, it's your day. Like if you're an everyday player, your name's gonna be on that lineup card.
It's your day to be a
reliever.
Like
you're a reliever, you don't know when your number is going to be called.
I love that. I've never thought about that before. I've never thought about that way before. Relievers have to be a freak every single day, and starters have to be a freak on their start day.
Yep.
Love that.
162 games a year, you just got to be a fucking
yeah. Wow.
I guess that's the successful major league pitcher is to just be a freak.
Yeah.
I think that's the general theme of this episode, and what we learned is that if you want to be in the MLB, you just got to be a freak.
Yeah. The top Ottavino is the 6th highest paid player on the Red Sox right now. At $8
what is Xander's contract? He because he just got an extension, right?
No, he got it in 19, really early.
Oh, okay.
He has an opt-out that is weird. It's after this next year. Xander's literally $20 million, which is insane. Like he's way underpaid. Way underpaid.
Yeah, that's free.
Yeah, ridiculously underpaid. He's our highest paid per year player right now at 20 mil. And so he has an opt-out after next season, which he'll most likely use if we don't have a new extension in place, which I think they will. But the hard part for him is like a lot of people obviously are like, oh, sign Xander, give him a blank check, whatever. But like you can't really do that because you can't end up where he is at that opt-out. You can't end up paying him as the top 5 shortstop if in 2 years he's going to be a second baseman. Like the values for those positions are just so different and so glaringly different. Like you can't end up locked up with a top 3 shortstop contract at second base or at DH. Like it just doesn't work like that.
I think that's a lot of what Yankee fans, when in their scenarios, they're like, oh, well, just get rid of Voit and move DJ to first base. You're losing so much of his value, because defensively, he's a solid defensive first baseman, but that's not his natural position. He's a Gold Glover at second, so you're losing out on the defensive end, even if you are bringing in a shortstop and sliding Glaber over. So that's one. And two, offensively, he's having a down year this year, but normally his numbers, if he produces even a little bit better, they're good for second base. They're borderline all-star level for second base, even if he's only putting up a 110, 115 weighted runs created. If you slide it over to first base, he's massively underperforming what you need. Like, you'll put up with a butcher like Luke Voit at first base because he's going to hit you 35, 40 bombs in a healthy season. That's what you need. Moving DJ to first, to me, I think just almost creates more problems than it solves.
Yeah. I almost think not like fully, but I like half think about it like position to position, like a little bit like slot value in the draft, like contract wise. Like if you're paying a guy 20 or 30, like let's say we paid Xander like 32 million, something crazy, like blank check him, give it to him, paid Xander like 30 mil a year, and then the next year he loses a step in the field and he's a second baseman. So now like that affects being overpaid at one position affects what you can spend on all the other positions. That's why the elite shortstops make such good money, because it's an elite position. Like you need your elite positions to be the best value on the money to maximize what you have all around the diamond.
Bro, that is the number one problem, I think, with the Yankees roster construction. We just talked about how they have 30 million plus allocated to relievers. They have 22 million, which if Stan could play the field, that would be fine, but to a DH. Like, it's as if you're paying, you're an NFL team and you're paying all your money to a running back. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And then people will complain about the Cole contract and be like, oh, that's whatever. That's 20% of our payroll. Well, that's where you should be allocating your big money contracts to a starting pitcher. That you're not going to complain that you're paying Patrick Mahomes or Russell Wilson a bunch of money. Like, you need elite starting pitching the same way you need quarterbacks. Like, that's who you pay. Like, you do the Sale deal 10 times out of 10. You do the Evaldi deal 10 times out of 10. Those are guys that could start game 1, game 2 of a playoff series for you. That's who you pay. You don't pay the reliever 17 million or the DH 25 million. So like, it's just and people don't grasp that.
Yeah, it's money allocation in the wrong places for the Yankees right now. And now, unfortunately, that also trickles into the years coming, because you look at the years down the road and the money that's already on the books at positions that aren't the prime positions, and you start to realize, like, wow, it's going to be hard for this team to spend appropriately with this money already on the books. Yeah. Like, I think it's like, let me see. I'll check right now. We'll say 2024.
I'm hoping this CBA is just wildly different. It's just somehow.
It's almost. It's almost when you start the
300 mil.
Yeah.
So the Red Sox in 2024 right now have 2 contracts on the books. 2. Total contracts on the books. That's not arbitration, guys. That's just like actual money on the books that you have to be paying, because arbitration you can duck out of. Mm-hmm. But so Xander makes 20 mil and Chris Sale makes 17 adjusted salary in that year. And Xander will be at more than that because he'll probably be extended. So really it's only 1 contract on the books, and that's Sale at 17. And then you look at,
which isn't bad at all.
No, that's wide open. Like, you can spend your money any way you want.
Yeah.
You look at the Yankees in 2024, and it's scary.
Dude. We're gonna have 5. You got DJ, Stanton, Cole. Cole will be probably 34 by then, which is fine. And Garrett Cole, again, I'll say the same thing I said before. You're paying him for the first 5 years of this contract, which is another reason why I think when people are like, oh, just blow it up, we have XYZ coming up. Yeah, well, we have these guys coming up, and we're going to be paying Stanton when he's 35. I think we attach a prospect to Hicks and get rid of his 10 million. But you're going to be paying probably Cole, DJ, and Stanton on the back ends of their deals where they're going to regress. Plus, likely Aaron Judge, I would think. Who knows what Glaber ends up. So it's just like, for me, it's like, while some of these guys are still cheap and while they're in their primes, you have to go for it, but at the same time, not go all in on 2021, because I don't think that makes sense. Like, if I'm them, I'm looking to maybe go for a rental or 2 this year where you're not giving up your Medina, your Volpe, any of the prime guys that can help you in, hopefully the short term. But at the same time, I would like to acquire some controllable guys. Like Ketel Marte, if he were somehow available, that's a trade I make. I'll give guys, because you have 3 more years of control past this year for him. Joey Gallo, he's like the buzzword, the same way you said about Rizzo. And I'm not against him. I think he would rake at the stadium. I know he's not the best fit in terms of his strikeouts, but my main concern with him, he's got 1.5 years of control. He's going to be a free agent 1 year later at the same exact time as Aaron Judge. I don't think that makes a ton of sense for our timeline. No. So that's my gripe with him. So, I mean, we'll see. That's why I think Starling Marte is my guy right now. I think you could probably get him for maybe one decent prospect. I think it could make a lot of sense. Maybe if you like it, you try and trade Hicks and re-sign him.
It's the Marlins one, right?
Marlins, Marlins and Starling.
I'm so bad with that.
Ketel is the time.
Ketel is the backs. I like know the differences of them when I see their faces, but every time I just hear the names, I second guess, and I'm like, which one is it?
Right.
But yeah, the Yankees are 4 guys, like you said, on the books in 2024. 36 mil Cole, 32 mil Stanton, 15 mil DJ, 9.7 Hicks. And that's 2024. There's already 92 mil 785,000 on the books.
Is 36 Stanton's cap hit though? I think his cap hit stays. I could be wrong. Either stays at 22 or it might jump up to like 25
Yeah,
or
no, that's
26.
just his adjusted salary. His luxury tax hit is 22.
Okay, yeah. So that's the number we're looking at then.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys have anything else, but I think that we've covered every inch of the Red Sox and Yankees up until 2024.
I don't know how we got to it. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, HVT, thanks a ton for coming on. Obviously, we really appreciate it. And we got a big series coming up in a couple days now at this point. So luck to the Sox, but also fuck them, for the time being.
Series predictions. What do you guys got?
Sweep. Yankees sweep them.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I don't know. But
I'm going to go with the
I don't
split.
know. I'm excited, dude, because I kind of I was being a weirdo, and I half in the back of my head was okay with the Yankees winning this last series because I wanted some juice to come back.
I mean, when you win the first 7, you could root for that.
Yeah, exactly, dude. That's where I was. And my boss at work, it was mad funny. I came in today and he was like, "You freaking jinxed the Sox." And I was like, "Nah, dude, I got what I wanted." We got some juice, baby. Yeah. So it's gonna be fun. It'll be a fun series. I mean, I think we'll face Cole again, right?
Yeah, you'll see probably Cole, Tyone. We really only have 4 starters right now. And maybe Cortez comes off the COVID list by the Sunday
Domingo
game.
evaporated into the bullpen somehow. I don't understand what happened there.
I don't know. Herman sucks.
He literally missed the start because of a root canal, and all of a sudden he's a bullpen arm. I don't know what happened there.
He's an absolute head case. Luckily, Tyone's throwing the ball well, and maybe we'll get a run for Jordan Montgomery. 5 straight starts without 1 run of support, which is absolutely.
Maybe we'll have other people on our teams by this weekend too.
It's not impossible.
That's a thought too. That could be
Give
interesting.
me more juice, man.
Johnny Lasagna will be back. That's a fact. So that's good.
Johnny Lasagna.
So we'll see what happens with that. I'm going Yankees split. It looks like they're going to take 3 out of 4, and Chapman blows the save on Sunday. That's my official prediction.
I'm going Red Sox series win, 3 out of 4.
Okay.
For sure.
I think realistically speaking, I think the split is the safest pick. But I'm going all tunnel vision, baby. I'm going for this Yankee sweep right here. Although the chance of it happening about 2%. Tunnel vision, baby, to the playoffs.
I mean, it's not like there's no in the Yankee season. There's no we won a big series. We can relax a little. The relax is gone. It's
it's
crazy. It's got to be
beyond urgent.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a big hole. It's big.
Oh, it's a huge problem. It is a massive issue. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again for coming on, man. We really appreciate it. It's going to be an exciting series for sure.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
All right, man. We'll talk to you
later.